All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a viral skit that just perfectly captures the wild, high stakes, and honestly, high comedy world of Indian board exams. I mean, it's a scene so many of us know, right? It's filled with tension, desperation, and some truly unforgettable characters.
And it starts with an absolute bang. The invigilator comes in and immediately establishes authority, not with some simple warning, but with this incredible over-the-top threat. And that right there, it just sets this perfectly tense, but also hilarious tone for everything to come. So, first things first, the rules of engagement. Before anyone even thinks about writing, the invigilator just lays down the law. And, they create this atmosphere of pure fear that, let's be honest, is just begging to be challenged. So the rules themselves, pretty simple and absolutely brutal. The forbidden items are pretty standard, sure, but the punishments are just classic. The invigilator doesn't just promise a beating, but a future as Raju Chaprasi, the office peon. And that's such a perfect cultural reference, right? It frames the stakes perfectly. In this system, where doing well in school is everything, failing this exam means that menial job is your destiny. But here's where it all starts to unravel. The second those exam papers land on the desks, that whole fortress of authority the invigilator built, it starts to show some serious cracks. The students' immediate panic and confusion, well, it gives way to the very first whispers of rebellion. The game is on. And, a crisis like this always brings out the key players. Because every exam hall has its cast of characters, right? Its own little social hierarchy. And this one? No different. Let's meet them. Okay, and the way they set up the main conflict is just brilliant. It's this great joke. On one side, you've got Deepak, the actual class topper. But on the other side, well, you've got a different kind of topper. One who's a master at mobile gaming. The skit shows us right away who has the knowledge and who desperately needs it. And there it is, our first attempt at cheating. And it is just laughably bad. I mean, the excuse is so flimsy, so unbelievable, it's honestly iconic. Of course, the super watchful invigilator shuts it down immediately, but the seed of chaos has officially been planted. So now that the exam is basically impossible for most of the class, all eyes in the room turn to one person, Deepak, the class topper. Suddenly, his brain isn't just his own anymore, it's a public resource. And he doesn't really get a say in the matter. And here comes the first direct plea for help. And notice it's not a subtle whisper, it's a straight-up demand. This moment right here officially puts Deepak in that classic and super uncomfortable topper's predicament. So what's he gonna do? Share or not share? And look, Deepak's pushback here is totally understandable. He's just trying to get his own paper done, right? But he's also got his friends nagging him. This line just perfectly captures that tug of war he's in, trying to help, but also terrified of that invigilator. Okay, but let's be real. Polite requests? They don't last long in a pressure cooker like this. The whole dynamic is about to shift, and not in a good way. And boom, there it is. That thin little layer of, we're all friends here, completely gone. It's replaced by a direct threat. This is one of those moments that feels so real, doesn't it? If you've ever been in a high-stakes situation, you know how quickly friendship can turn into intimidation. So this is the tipping point. All that quiet, simmering tension just boils over. It's not about single whispers anymore. We are now in full-blown chaos mode with everyone just frantically demanding answers. I mean, just listen to this. It's like a symphony of pure desperation. The skit just uses this super fast series of pleas and bribes to make you feel how overwhelming it is to be the only one in the room who knows anything. He's not even a student anymore. He's basically a human cheat sheet. So while all this is happening, the teacher, who was kind of checked out, can't ignore it anymore. You can almost see his head snap up as he starts to zero in on where all the trouble is coming from. And of course, that's Deepak's desk. And of course, this leads us right to the climax. That whole fragile, whispered system of cheating, yeah, it's about to come crashing down, hard. And the second they get caught, what happens? The blame game, of course. The student who was just begging for help a second ago, he immediately throws Deepak right under the bus. It's pure self-preservation. But Deepak's panicked defense is just as perfect and honestly way more relatable. It just captures the absolute injustice of the situation. He was literally bullied into sharing. I mean, the poor guy is a victim of his own intelligence. So, if you break it down, the way everything falls apart follows this perfectly predictable and hilarious pattern. It's this perfect chain reaction, denial, finger pointing, and this whole back and forth spiral into absolute chaos is the huge comedic payoff for the whole thing.
All right, so let's pull back for a second. What does all this chaos really tell us? Why is this scene so funny and honestly so deeply relatable to so many people?
Well, the reason this whole thing works is because it's not just a skit, right? It's a perfect snapshot of a shared cultural experience. We all recognize these characters: the super strict teacher, the genius kid, the desperate backbencher who hasn't studied. It's really a commentary on how intense the pressure is and how these little survival tactics almost become a rite of passage.
And I think that's the final thought I want to leave you with. The skit is hilarious, for sure, but it also pokes at something a little deeper, doesn't it? It asks, do these crazy, high stakes exams bring out our most creative side or just our most desperate? And that question is really at the heart of why we love watching these little moments of classroom rebellion.